Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows Podcast. This episode of the Bleed Lows Podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting, and your favorite casino and card games are available to play right from your phone. So head to the website or use your mobile device, sign up today, and get into the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And joining us on the Carne Asada for the very first time on the ladies' line, ladies and gentlemen, she covers the Dodgers, and you can find her coverage on the social media. She is the queen of Playa Larga. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Give a big warm welcome to Amy Cuevas. Amy, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, hola.
I love that. Hello, hola. That's awesome. Look, we got a lot to talk about because the sky is falling, so let's get right into it. So the Dodgers have become a mash unit. As we speak, at the recording of this, we are recording this right before the final game between the Dodgers and Los Piratas. We have just gotten a wave of moves that the Dodgers have just done. The big one is that Daniel Hudson is going on the injured list. Daniel Hudson pitched on Wednesday night's game, got his first save in over a year. I was covering the game last night. I did think it was odd that Daniel Hudson wasn't made available to the media. And this is after a year after, not recording a save. I know he did the interview with Kirsten on the field, but after we interviewed Roberts and we went into the clubhouse, Daniel Hudson was nowhere to be found. So I did think that was odd. And now it turns out that he has babyface. What is it? He sprained. Is it the official that he sprained his MCL?
Sprained MCL.
And it's the other one, not the one that he hurt last year in Atlanta. So the Dodgers cannot catch a break. Okay. So that is one injury. Now, yesterday also, after the game, Dave Roberts told us that what Dave Roberts had told us Wednesday after the game was that Brusdar's arm was not feeling right. He first told us he wasn't feeling well. So then it was just like, wait, what, he's not feeling well? What is he sick? And then he said, well, his arm doesn't feel right. Now it turns out today that it's Brusdar's shoulder that is sore. Now, as the recording of this, he was going to throw a bullpen today to see how he felt. But it looked like when Dave Roberts was telling us this about Brusdar, that it looked like Brusdar was going to go on the IL too. So there's another reliever that the Dodgers might lose. Now, on top of that, we finally got an update on what happened with Clayton Kershaw. Now, when Kershaw first left the Rockies game, there was, again, another element of mystery. He just wasn't feeling right. Nobody told us. Nobody was saying what was wrong with it. Well, now we know he has shoulder inflammation. Now, yesterday, Kershaw did say he was feeling better. So you hope it's just this time off plus the All-Star break will allow him to come back. But I think that's something to keep an eye on because, look, we all knew this was coming. We all knew that Kershaw was going to get an injury. I don't think anybody expected Kershaw to be healthy the entire season. But it is the numbers are dwindling because we have gotten reports. It was now confirmed. Nick Robertson and Alex Vesia have now been called up and are in the clubhouse. Yency Almonte is now on paternity leave because everybody on the Dodgers has to have a child this year. So that goes ahead and continues that streak. So what the Dodgers are going to do with the bullpen, Evan Phillips already pitched 3 days in a row, and we saw what happened on America's birthday. This bullpen is overworked. since it's a first timer, I'm going to let the lady go first. Amy, how concerned are you by this rash of injuries?
I mean, we pretty much have an all-star team on our pitching, just based on pitching alone. So we got 5 starting pitchers, I think, on the IL. We've got 7, now 8 with Gratterall potentially going. Like, I don't know who's going to carry this team. We've got Urias going tonight, but he went 3 innings, I think, his last game. So we're going to be digging into the bullpen tonight again. I don't know how we continue forward unless we get more depth, both in starting pitching, both in the bullpen. And how many options are out there right now before the trade deadline. Can we grab them all?
You know what? You bring up an interesting point, Amy, and that is the number of holes that this team now has. And primarily, I don't know if you guys saw that Bill Plaschke wrote an article saying that the Dodgers need to trade for a starter. Way to go out on the limb there, Bill Plaschke. Look, I don't expect Bill Plaschke's ever going to come on this show. I myself am Team Jorge Castillo in terms of columnists when it comes to the LA Times. But to have Plaschke write the most obvious thing, yes, of course the Dodgers need another starter. But things are looking a little bleak, I think, in the sense that Julio's coming back from an injury. And I think that start in Kansas City was a little bit of both. I think it was he was not sharp, but he also got some bad luck there in that first inning. Tony Gonsolin, I don't know what's been happening with Tony Gonsolin. He started off the season pitching really well, and now you're seeing that level of regression. So you have 2 starters that are underperforming. You have your best starter in Clayton Kershaw on the injured list. And now you're going to be depending on 2 rookies. Bobby Miller, last night, I think Bobby Miller showed a lot last night against the Piratas. Emmett Sheehan, welcome to the major leagues. Welcome to reality. Emmett Sheehan did not look good against the Piratas. Look, they're calling up. I mean, the reports are that Landon Knack is on the taxi squad. That's another AA guy. So the Dodgers are really, I think, they're going into AA. They're going everywhere they can to look for pitching. Babyface, how does this organization survive this? I mean, the bullpen, to the bullpen's credit, they actually have been pitching pretty well. Other than the blow up that Evan Phillips had against the Piratas, the last 12 games, it looked like the bullpen got their act together, and it was the starters that were struggling. But this is what I'm talking about. The Dodgers, it seems like they just have too many holes. They're taking on too much water. You can't plug all the holes. Babyface, you're the GM. What do you do to fix this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, what are we at? What's today, the 6th? What's today's date?
July 6th. Right? We're recording this on July 6th.
So we're about 25 days from that trade deadline. I mean, I think they got to start, next week, in the All-Star break, they got to start, making those calls, talking to GMs and start seeing who they're going to try and get over here. And we always see this like, oh, Dodgers just trade for this guy and they'll just go ahead and trade for this guy. It's not that easy, right? We've discussed it. It's not that easy. Dodgers just can't use the rest of the league as, their AAA.
As their minor leagues, yeah.
So, they have to be strategic. They have to see what, and right now, if I'm an opposing GM, right, and I know that the Dodgers are hurting, aren't you going to try and try and get the most that you can, right? I mean, you're just not going to be like, hey, you want our pitcher that, we have available, but they're not just going to give them to you, right? They're going to be like, what can we get from you? You really need this guy, right? So what can we get from you? And I think that's always kind of been the issue with the Dodgers, right? Like it kind of seems like these other teams, they want the absolute best guys that the Dodgers got in their roster. And to be honest, right, a lot of the Dodgers' top prospects aren't just top prospects within the Dodgers, right? They're top prospects in MLB, right? So I think that makes it a lot more difficult to find a good trade partner and to get, equal value, for what they're trying to get. So, I mean, that's what, Friedman has to be doing right now, is kind of seeing where he's going to make that trade, but I don't think it's going to be that simple.
Señorita Cuevas, put on your GM hat. For me, the Dodgers are coming from a place of weakness right now in the sense that every team knows that what their needs are. And their needs are many. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that just the other day, Dave Roberts said that they're looking for a right-handed bat too. If they need to get bullpen help, if they need to get starters, and they need to get a right-handed bat on top of that, is this the year, Amy, that you gut your farm system when you have a team that plays inconsistent, at least has been inconsistent the full first half? Amy, would you go all in on this team?
Oh, man. You can't ask the hard questions like that. That's like saying which of your kids is your favorite. Like,
yeah, you're the GM. You're the GM right now, Amy. What would you do?
I mean, I don't know how hard I'd go because like you said, we have too many holes to plug. Like, we don't need just a starter and a reliever. Like, we need multiples. Like, we've got 2 rookies running right now. We've got 2 starters that maybe you could patch together into one day. Like, we need at least 2 starting pitchers, possibly 3. We need a couple relievers that can back us up. You're not even going to get all that before the trade deadline. That's not even digging into your infield or your outfield. So I don't want to give up our farm system. I don't want to give up on the year, but I don't think we go all in. I think you make it work with what we have and pick up what you can.
See, this is why I like to have ladies on this show, because they make sense. They speak reason. I keep seeing all these comments on social media. The Dodgers have the chips. The Dodgers have the chips. Babyface, you're going to give up because other teams are going to ask. They're going to ask for Emmett Sheehan. They're going to ask for these guys. They're going to ask for even hurt people. I'm sure they're going to ask for Ryan Pepio. They're going to ask for all these people. And here's my thing, Babyface. I know you want to talk about this, and I know it's already coming up, Shohei Ohtani. Well, here's the thing. You trade for Shohei, that's a starter. We need a starter, and he's a bat. He's not a right-handed bat. He's a left-handed bat. So does that mean you're now going to move JD Martinez out into left field, and good luck with that adventure? But look, we're living in a fantasy land because I don't think that Artie Moreno is ever going to trade Ohtani. And if he is going to trade Ohtani, sure as hell, he's not going to trade him to the Dodgers. But here's my thing. Even if you could pull off an Ohtani deal, is that the smartest thing to do? Because you obviously need your whole farm system just to get through this season. I just think the Dodgers are snake bit. This is force majeure. For those of you who have not read the Oxford Dictionary, that is an act of God, an unforeseen act of God. And I think that's what the Dodgers are going through. People can complain about roster construction as much as you want. You can factor in injuries. The greatest indicator of injury is past injury. I think you could expect that Kershaw was going to get hurt because Kershaw's gotten hurt the last few seasons. But the way everyone seems to be going down right now, I think it's too much to overcome. And Babyface, you're going to go all in on a team where 1 minute the bullpen is good, but the offense sucks. Or starting pitching is not there and everything else is good. Or the offense is great. They score 8 runs, but the pitching gave up 9. Are you willing to go all in to get Ohtani right now?
So is that how you define all in, like going to get Ohtani? I mean, realistically,
I just think if you are going to get exactly what Amy was saying, let's say 2 starters, and you're going to get some bullpen help. You're going to get a right-handed bat. If you try to go get all of those things, I feel you're going to give up a lot from the farm system to get those things.
I mean, I think they will end up with maybe at least 1 starter. They might get 2. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like a Dylan Cease or somebody like that, right? Somebody from the White Sox. Like, I don't know if it's going to be, Bieber, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be one of those guys. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably look at that, but it probably won't be. It'll be some lower end, starter.
And what will the price be for that?
I mean, they're going to, they'll trade some prospects, but it's going to be some lower prospects. I mean, I don't think it's going to be any of these guys that.
You think that'll get it done? Lower prospects?
It's going to be, like I said, some lower starter, right? Some 4th, 5th guy, maybe from, Minnesota or somewhere or Chicago or whatever. I mean, a Lance Lynn, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't think a Lance Lynn would probably be that expensive. You know, one guy that I'm hearing a lot is Michael Bush. You know, might be.
Wow, you're going to give up Michael Bush to get Lance Lynn? Like, you would do that?
I mean, I'm not saying specifically Lance Lynn, but that's probably the type of pitcher you're probably going to get. You know,
that's why I'm saying you would be willing to give up Michael Bush to get that type of pitcher, not necessarily Lance Lynn, but you're basically trading Michael Bush for a number 4 or a 5.
But I mean, I think Michael Bush is probably a trade chip right now, right? You would think he's definitely probably a trade chip. And then some of your other lower prospects, he might be your highest. I mean, your best trade chip right now. I mean, who else would you consider to trade? Pepio, some of your other starters. I mean, I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Amy. Would you trade Miguel Vargas right now?
What am I getting in return for him?
I think if you're thinking of trading Michael Bush and Miguel Vargas, then you should go after Ohtani. If you're going to get Ohtani, you should throw in those guys to go get Ohtani.
I'm the dissenter here, though. Like, I don't want to go after Ohtani.
It's good. This is what we want. We want conflict.
I think he's an amazing player.
Tell me, why do you hate the Japanese, Amy? Why do you hate the Japanese?
No! Don't put words in my mouth. No, but yes, you get a bat, you get a pitcher, but he's also one person. Look at the injuries that we're plagued with right now. He's human. At some point, he's going to go down. So do you go all in and then potentially have something happen, and now you're back where you started and you've lost some of those key players? Like, I don't, whether it's the trade deadline or it's next year when he goes into free agency, I don't think it's worth it. Not with what our team needs. Even if we limp along this year, let's say we don't invest in anything, you go after Ohtani next year, we're still in the same boat. We still don't have the pitching, and we're still bringing up rookies for depth. Like, I don't think that's the way to go, but, you know, it's just me.
I mean, maybe those two guys would go, like, in an Ohtani trade, but like you said, Angels are not going to trade Ohtani to the Dodgers, right? And this is the thing with Ohtani. Like, if you're, a lot of people are saying, well, if the Angels now, you know, they got the Trout injury, right? He's out for 2 months.
Yeah.
And Angels, they seem to be, like, you know, going the wrong direction now. Like, they're saying, you got to move him, right? You got to get something back for him if he's going to leave at the end of the year. But to me, it's still, if I'm another team and I'm able to get Ohtani, yeah, that'd be great to add him. But there's no guarantee that he's going to stay on my team, you know, come winter time. And I'm going to give up all my best guys and players on my roster that are good players on my roster. I mean, I don't see another team doing that. Like, why would you do that when there's no guarantee? You're going to give up all that for a guy that come October, November, he's somewhere else.
I mean, that's an expensive rental. Like, that's a super expensive rental.
And Amy already said it. I mean, she doesn't want Ohtani. You know, she wants Gogeta to take him down.
Free. Like, if we don't have to break the bank for him, I'll take him. But we're already cutting salaries and doing all this stuff, just trying to potentially be in the running. And for what? We're still missing key pieces to just our regular roster. Like, I just don't think it's worth it.
But it sounds like what you guys are telling me is the best options that we're going to get is maybe a number 4 or number 5 starter, maybe a couple of bullpen arms, and maybe a right-hand bat to come off the bench. Even if we get all of that, do you think that makes the Dodgers a better team in the playoffs if they make the playoffs?
What are we giving up for those arms, though? Like, you just were throwing out Vargas out there, so who do we have at second? Like, who are we?
And that's the thing.
Like,
but that's the thing, Amy. If you are a GM of, let's say, the Tigers of Detroit, or you're a GM of I don't know who's in last place right now. Those teams, and the Dodgers are calling, and you pick up the phone, and you know they are desperate because they're sinking. They're grasping at anything right now. I mean, this is how bad it's gotten for the Dodgers. Noah Syndergaard was supposed to throw a bullpen today, actually Thursday. They're actually considering activating him for this weekend because they need pitchers. Because they're not allowed to just put a pitching machine out there. They're looking to actually activate Noah Syndergaard That's how desperate that they've gotten. So I guess what I'm getting at here, guys, is I don't feel comfortable giving up Michael Busch to get a number 4 or a number 5 starter. I like Michael Busch. Maybe he's not giving you these huge numbers, but I like the way he carried himself, and I wish they would have given him a chance to play more, to give him more at bats. I would have liked to have seen what he's done. Yes,
Can
I know
pitch?
That's the big, right? So that's the thing, Amy. It's like, why don't we just go with what we got? Let's see if we strike gold with these young kids. What if these young kids figure things out and babyface, you have said this all along. Just get in. And if you get in, who knows? It might be pandemonium. Or is it just, look, the reality is if the Dodgers don't make the playoffs or if they don't win, it might help our chances to get Ohtani to save the small market Dodgers. Ohtani, come over here and save us. Because if the Dodgers win the World Series, you think Ohtani's going to want to come here and go, those guys already won. I want to go somewhere where I can be the guy that leads them to a championship. Babyface, am I wrong?
No. So here's the thing, though. Yes, Dodgers have all these injuries, and their pitching is we're barely holding that thing, by Band-Aids, right?
Yeah.
They're a game and a half out of first place.
Yes.
Right. They're in
10 games over 500. We are talking about them like they're garbage.
They're in last place or whatever. They're in a playoff position. They're a game and a half out behind the D-backs, who the D-backs are not playing as good as they were, 20, 30 days ago, right? They've been struggling a little bit. So are the D-backs going to hold on to that, right? And the Dodgers are going to pass by them, right? I mean, that's what I think is going to eventually happen, right? As we get into August, September, the D-backs are going to fade and the Dodgers are going to pass them up. But like you said, the Dodgers, we're saying they're desperate. I mean, yeah, they need more depth. But like I said, I don't think this is a year where they're going to go get, trade like a Manny Machado, a Trey Turner, right? Yeah. They're not going to make those type of deals. They're going to get guys to help them and get to that final spot, which is a playoff spot, whether it's winning the division or a wild card. And then they're like every year, you're just going to roll the dice and see what happens in the playoffs, right? We've learned from last year, you could have the best team going into the playoffs and you play 4 games and you're out.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, what I'd like to see if we are going to cobble together pitching and like Roger was saying, we let the young kids play. I want to see them play small ball. We're still continuing to swing for the fences, and I will die on this hill. Move the next guy down the line. Stop swinging for the fences. If we can, that's how the Diamondbacks started playing this season. That's how. Who did we just play? And Dave Roberts was like, yeah, they were playing a different kind of baseball. No,
the Royals of Kansas City. The Royals of Kansas City.
Let's just move the next guy over. Let's stop swinging for the fences. All the baseball parks have different dimensions. If we can just move the next guy over, start stealing bases more, I feel like we also have a chance to back up, to bolster whatever pitching we are holding together with Band-Aids and actually make a go of it instead of trying to win all of these games on home runs or getting a couple people on base and then knocking them all in.
And so I think they actually are, because we discussed this before, right, with the new rules, right, and we've seen more steals from these teams like the Diamondbacks and the Royals and the Pirates, right? What they did the first time the Dodgers faced the Pirates, they were running like crazy on the Dodgers, right? They haven't been doing that this series, so something changed either with the Pirates or the way the Dodgers are able to hold them on bit. I think I've seen James Outman, he's running a little bit more. Mookie Betts has been running more. Freddie Freeman's running, so we need those guys to, the guys that can take advantage of that and steal some bases. As far as, move, these guys should be able to move the guy over, right? If there's a guy on third, get a sac fly in or something, right? I mean, we always hear you got to bunt. You got to bunt. And I would agree, okay, yes, but my counter to that is guys today, they don't know how to bunt. It's not something they practice. You can't have a JD Martinez up there and, hey, he's going to drop a bunt. I mean, these guys don't do that anymore. It's a different era, and I've learned to accept that. So they have to find other ways, like Amy said, get the guy over, whether it's, hit it to opposite, hitting it, the second base side, get the guy over or whatever, or a sac fly or whatever. That's something they definitely got to work on.
How many times do we load the bases, or you have a couple on, and the next guy comes up? You've got Austin Barnes, CT3 when he was playing, like swinging for the fences, and it's just like, guys, just we need a little blooper and split the gap, do something, but like just get one run in. Like let's just do it one at a time.
But that is asking this team to change their philosophy, and you have a front office that I just don't think subscribes to that small ball. Amy, I don't think you're wrong at what you're saying, especially when you're going through this, the ability to put up runs. But this is also a team. Look, they just lost a game earlier this week, 9-7. So it's like, it's not that they're not scoring enough runs. The problem is their pitching is just not there, and it's the inconsistency. It's the same guys in the bullpen that were in the bullpen when they were horrible. And now for 12 games, it's like, this is the same bullpen. And I know everybody was giving Daniel Hudson credit. Daniel Hudson is the savior. Look how much better the bullpen. And just like that, things change. Now you lose Daniel Hudson. You don't have Almonte. These were guys that they were using as high leverage. The All-Star break is coming at a perfect time. And you just hope that you can stretch this. The problem is when your starters are not helping you. I mean, they're struggling to just even give you 5 innings. There was a time here. I love this. This is the Ozzie Guillen rule. If you're a starter, you're giving me 6 innings no matter what. You're staying out there for 6 innings. I mean, Dave Roberts said this the other after Bobby Miller's start. He was so thankful that Bobby Miller could get into the 6th. Not even finish the 6th, but he was just so thankful that he could get into the 6th. Roberts was like, I don't know what we were going to do if he only could give us 5. And I know they're hoping Julio goes deep into the game tonight against the Piratas, because they don't know who they're going to throw out there. And it's just, Amy, I want to ask you this because, you cover the team. You're there in the clubhouse. Like I said, you're not wrong. I just don't think that Andrew Friedman subscribes to that style. Are you like me and just think that when the Dodgers lose, Andrew Friedman just reads Roberts the riot act, and that's why we're just sitting there waiting for Roberts to come out to talk to the media?
Honestly, I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, because I mean, Roberts always, like, he comes out and he gives you whatever the spin is on it. Like, you can always find a positive in everything, right? I can argue both sides of anything. So I don't know. Or is Friedman the one who's calling the shots, and Roberts is just, relaying that out on the field? So there's
like, you don't think
really
Roberts,
you're just like,
You don't think like Roberts is advocating for the things that you're saying? Like, we should be doing hit and runs. We should be stealing bases. We should be, and look, I don't want JD Martinez bunting, but I have no problem with Miguel Vargas, Miguel Rojas, the bottom of that lineup. I have no problem with them bunting and moving runners over and turning that lineup over to Mookie and Federico and those guys. But look, I think Miguel Rojas is a guy who could bunt. To you, what you were saying, Babyface, can Miguel Vargas bunt? Who knows? Because he probably came up at a time in the organization where they weren't teaching these guys how to bunt, because this organization doesn't subscribe to that.
We're saying, like, we don't expect JD Martinez, but I remember a time when Steve Garvey played, right? Steve Garvey would bunt. And this was like your number 4 guy, and he would go out and he would drop a bunt, right? So we see how it's changed, right? Real quick.
And you know what? With Steve Garvey, Steve Garvey bunted. That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame, dude. Because Steve Garvey bunted. I just want you to know that. Anyways, you have an update for us?
Yeah, so we're talking about Michael Busch, right? He just hit a 3-run home run in OKC right now. So he's hitting like 323. So here's it's a theory. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or not. But what if they have him in AAA to showcase him? Like we talked about this before. He's going to go back to AAA. He's going to tear it up. So he's tearing it up there. Are they showcasing him in AAA and saying, look at Michael Busch when they're going to potential trade partners? He's playing there every day, and he's tearing it up. You think that's something that because we mentioned it. Why they send Michael Bush down as opposed to say like Yoni Hernandez or somebody?
Well, first of all, Yoni Hernandez is probably the strongest pitcher in the bullpen right now. So that's why you didn't send Yoni Hernandez. He pulled a Hanser Alberto. Hey, don't think I didn't forget about that. Let's just forget about the fact that Yoni Hernandez gave us one shutout inning. Look, my theory on that and the way I can explain that is Michael Bush is a left-handed bat. And they're not, he obviously, they only want to play him at third for some reason. Why they don't give him a chance to spell at second base, I don't personally like him in the outfield, but I didn't see him play outfield. When we had the other Friedman on the show who did see these guys, he said he was okay in the outfield, but it's another left-handed bat. And Roberts just said it. They want another right-handed bat because, again, the book tells them when there is a left-handed pitcher, I must have an all right-handed lineup except for Federico. And it's
my answer back to you, especially with the, what is Friedman saying to Roberts? Well, really, what are the analytics saying? Like, is that what they're going off of versus, just feel the game, like move the next player over, or, hey, the analytics say you should be able to hit this off this pitcher to this, spot on the field. So, what are we relying more on? Can we mix it up a little bit? Hey, go back to the way that the Dodgers were. If you want to, swing for the fences, just not this season, just not right now. So.
Well, but Babyface, I'm not opposed to trading Michael Bush. My thing is if you are showcasing him in the minor leagues, I would hope that you can get more than a number 4 or a number 5 starter for him. That's my thing. And it's like, if we're trading just for the sake of doing something because you think you have a chance, and look, all of this can change. We still have a whole second half of the season. Julio Urias, Gonsolin may turn things around. And if those guys turn things around, and I want to get into this real quick because Bobby Miller gives up that home run, that 3-run home run. And that was maybe one of 2 mistakes that he made in that game. Okay. And I know, I'll admit to it. I was washing Bobby Miller's balls and I broke him, right? I sit there and said, he's the savior. He's the guy. He's the man. He's the king of LA. But there were a couple of outings, and you've mentioned this, Babyface, and Roberts talked about it the other day in the pregame scrum, that when things start going wrong on them, when they start going sideways, it just snowballs in him. I thought yesterday against the Piratas, he did a really good job of not letting him snowballing. Yeah, he gave up that 3-run home run, but he calmed down and he kept them in the game, and the Dodgers found a way to come back and win that game. And I think that's very encouraging. I think this is once again to show everybody how hard baseball is. Those first 4 starts that we had with Bobby Miller, hey, man, that's not normal. That doesn't happen. What we're seeing now is usually how rookies are. It's going to be a roller coaster with Bobby Miller, and you just hope with the more experience that he gets as the season progresses that he gets better and better. And I hope, that's why I'm very curious to see Emmett Sheehan's next start. How does he bounce back from the start against the Piratas? If Emmett Sheehan and Bobby Miller continue to progress, Urias, Gonsolin turn the things around, and then maybe you can get a Lance Lynn type, or I think Lorenzen is another name that I hear from the Detroit Tigers. If you can give what they really need is a starter that can give him innings. I mean, at this point, I will take somebody who can give you guaranteed 6 innings every time they're out there. I don't need them to be 6 shutout innings. I just need somebody who can eat up innings. Hey, if they can do that and they can get into the playoffs, you roll the dice there and you hope they get hot.
I mean, there's guys that can give you innings, but how many runs do they need to give up? We saw with Noah Syndergaard, right? He give you 5-6 innings, but he'll give up like 8 runs. I mean, you can't have that either, right? So, I mean, I think, what we saw with Bobby Miller, like you said, was a very good sign to see him. He got back into that where he struggled, right? And he didn't let things snowball on him, and he was able to get out of that, and he went 6 innings, right? So same thing for Emmett Sheehan, right? Like he came up and he was just doing great, and then he's hit some hiccups along the way. And even his last start, like it wasn't great, but I don't think it was like awful, right?
No.
I mean,
it was quality start. It was a quality start.
I mean, so I think he's able to kind of take the punches, right? I mean, and we don't expect this guy to go out there like every time and to have a no-hitter into the seventh inning, right? He's going to have to go out there, do his thing, right, and keep the Dodgers in the game. If he can get, if he gives it 2-3 runs, keeps the Dodgers in the game over 5-6 innings, yeah, it's a win, right?
Well, I mean, look, this is why we have these therapy sessions. In the words of our listener, Too Cool Raul, let's not give ourselves chorro. Okay, it is the All-Star break here. They are a game and a half out. They're 10 games over 500. I know it looks bleak right now just because everyone is getting hurt. Who knows? The second half may be a completely different season. It's just for me. You have all those trade chips. If they are really blue chips, I would hope that you get something in return. But you're right. This is not the year where you're going to get a Max Scherzer. You're not going to get a Trey Turner. You're not going to get a big name like that. I want to switch real quick to the All-Star selections. We saw who the fans voted in. The Dodgers got 3. Will Smith was named as a reserve, and then Clayton Kershaw. What number is that? Was that his 10th All-Star selection, Babyface?
Yeah, 10.
He won't be pitching in the game, but I mean the guy deserves it. I mean, in his 16th year, with 10 wins like that, and Mookie Betts is going to be participating in the Home Run Derby. I don't know if you guys were listening to Dodger Talk. I want to give Dave Vasse credit. Dave Vasse hosts it, and that is a job where it's very easy to be a homer and just be rah, sis, boom, bah, Dodgers. And Dave Vasse is not like that. Dave Vasse was critical of Mookie Betts doing the Home Run Derby this year and not doing it last year when it was at Dodger Stadium. I feel like Mookie's been a little different this year. I think Mookie is doing more things to promote baseball. And I'm very curious as to, I mean, this is a guy that I think gets a lot of shit. I know a lot of people sit there and go, wow, could you imagine how good Mookie would be if he actually cared about baseball? And it's like, dude, Mookie cares about baseball. But do you guys think that's a fair criticism that, hey, he should have done the Home Run Derby last year when it was at Dodger Stadium? Amy, what say you?
I mean, you can say it if you want to, but like, these guys have to protect their health. Like, would it have been cool to see him last year? Sure. But like, let him play when he wants to play. Like, these guys grind every day. So if he wants to play this year, let him play this year. I'm not going to give him grief for it.
Do you think he gets unfairly criticized?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's been some stuff that was said earlier in the year, like FanFest and whatever. Like, these guys, 162 days a year, they barely get any days off. They don't just show up at the field when it's game time. They're there before and after. Let these guys make choices for themselves. They're still human. They still have lives.
Babyface, do you see that he seems to be doing more, especially with his podcast? I mean, the other day he's been doing the exchanges of jerseys. He did it with Mike Trout. He seems to, I mean, and he told us, when we talked to him, that the reason why he's doing the podcast is because he feels that baseball, a lot of people don't know about baseball players. And I think that was a dig at Major League Baseball. They don't do a good job of selling us. So I'm going to take it into my own hands. Is that a noticeable change, or do you think he was doing this before and it was on us that we didn't give him credit for it?
I mean, I think it's a change. Obviously, the podcast is new, right? The doing the jersey swap, that's fairly new, right? And you've seen it a little bit before, but now they're doing it. If the other team has like a big time player, Mike Trout, whoever, right? Aaron Judge, like they'll go and they'll swap jerseys, right? So you see that a lot, like in football, right? I think in basketball. So I think that he's trying to bring that over. As far as the criticism for yeah, it would have been great to see Mookie Betts or a Dodger in the home run derby last year, right, when it was in LA.
Yeah.
That would have been great. But I mean, Mookie's having a completely different season, right? Like, I mean, he last year he did have a high in 35 home runs, right? But I think even this year he's gonna pass that. Like, he's headed to pass it. He looks like he's gonna have over 40 home runs. So I don't know if that has to do with he went to Driveline right in the off season, right? He's got more power, right? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, from all accounts, I mean, it looks like he's really taking it seriously. I saw some posts today, like he's out there practicing already with Clayton McCullough. He's getting ready. So I don't think Mookie's just in it to be in it. Mookie is in it to win it. So, like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I mean, I think it's good. To have a Dodger out there in the home run derby, it's always good, no matter when it is.
Amy, I've always believed that the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is the best All-Star Game out of the major sports. Does the All-Star Game still excite you? Do you still look forward to it?
This is where I'm going to be the dissenter again. I'm all about the home run derby. Like, the All-Star Game's great, but I don't get as excited about it. Like, you get to see a couple players, a couple innings, but I'm there for the home run derby. So, I mean, unless they can shake things up a little bit, maybe the American League doesn't win every year somehow. I mean, it's great, but it's not. I'm all about the home run derby.
I don't think you're dissenting at all. I actually feel like that is a sentiment where I don't feel like people are excited about the All-Star Game. Babyface, do you hear people talk? Oh, I can't wait. The All-Star Game is next week. And I'm like I said, I think it's the best All-Star Game out of all the sports. But I just don't think it's a big hoopla.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to because they're wearing those stupid, ugly ass uniforms. I think that's what's killed it, for one. And then second, I'm a National Leagueist guy and getting killed by the American League for the last, I don't know, what is it, like 15 years or something. When the National League used to dominate them, now it's flipped. So I think we need to get the National League to get out there and start winning some games, put them back in their regular uniforms like it used to be. And I don't know, make it mean something again. Do the home team, I mean, the winner gets home field advantage.
Don't do that. No.
I mean, but do something to incentivize them. Give them an extra $1 million or whatever for the winner. I don't know, something.
No, I look. It's an exhibition game. It should just be whoever wins. There should be self motivation. I do agree with you in the sense that they should wear the uniforms of their teams. I don't like the new brand uniforms, but I get it. It's capitalism. We got to sell more merchandise. Merchandise. It's all about the merchandising. Shout out to all you Spaceball fans.
I mean, I think it was Ken Rosenthal that said he's on team. Keep them in their own uniforms as well. He was saying people will still buy a special edition All-Star jersey, like say if it has an All-Star patch on it on their regular jersey, people will still buy that. It's not like they won't buy that over a dedicated like one All-Star team look, so I mean they can do it. And it goes back to also with every team has to be represented, right? So if you got one guy, right, if you're Michael Lorenzen of the Detroit Tigers, right, and you have your lineup out there, like how are you going to pick that guy out, right?
That's a very good point,
right? Like you want to see your team. If every team's represented, you want to see your team out there, and you want to see their uniform, right? It doesn't work that way with they're all wearing that same uniform.
I would have legit bought a jersey last year if they had like an actual Dodgers jersey. Like I wasn't going to buy what they had. And then, like, I don't know, maybe make it more fun. Merge it with, they got rid of Players Weekend. Let them pick names to put on the back. At least if we know what team they're on and they have, you have the Dick Mountains, you have all the whatevers coming through. Merge the All-Star Game with the Players Weekend nicknames. Make it a little bit more fun that way. I don't know. And maybe you'll sell more jerseys that way too.
I never understood why they got rid of the Players Weekend. I thought that was a great idea. I loved seeing those nicknames on the back, chicken strip, and trying to figure out, what those nicknames were. I just don't get Major League Baseball sometimes. I was like, did you guys hear any criticism about the Players Weekend? I thought everyone pretty much liked it.
I mean, it was one of the things I looked forward to. That was maybe I'll spend my money on that jersey if somebody has a creative enough name, and then all of a sudden it just gone. So I hope they bring that back.
Babyface, we never got an explanation why they got rid of it, did we?
I think it might have been because it went into the pandemic season, right? Was the last one in 2019, maybe, and then the pandemic season probably. And so I think
that was about the last time I saw it. Yeah.
That's too bad because I really like that. I want to segue because I was at Dodger Stadium on Wednesday where Peso Pluma Mania showed up at Dodger Stadium. I want to get your guys' thoughts. First of all, Amy, were you aware of who Peso Pluma was? Are you young and hip?
I mean, I'm like half and half. I know about him because some of my friends are DJs and they play his music. That's how I was introduced to him earlier this year. So like I don't celebrate his whole catalog yet, but I mean, I like what I've heard so far. So hearing that he was going to be at Dodger Stadium, that's a good grab. They got Bad Bunny last year. They got Peso Pluma this year. Good for them.
I got a chance to talk to Amy's homie, DJ Severe. And Severe had told me that, you know, he was getting a lot of requests for Peso Pluma. And this was before Shelby Miller had told him that he wanted, Peso Pluma to be his entrance music. And then we know Jason Hayward chose another Peso Pluma song. So there was a big demand for Peso Pluma. So I'm sitting there in the field. I went down by the clubhouse because I was going to walk my way up to the press box. And as I was doing that is when Peso Pluma showed up, and he had an entourage of 10 deep. I mean, you could not, I thought he was the president of the United States. You couldn't get to him. Like the security dudes were like 12-foot roadblocks. I think part of the group were probably his entourage, but at least half of it was his security. Like you could not get near him. And so when he came out of the dugout, I mean, people started going crazy. I sent Babyface the video, and Babyface is just like, so is it like already sold out? I mean, is the stadium full? I was like, dude, that was just the freaking field level. That was just the people. They were going nuts for this guy. And what cracked me up was all the comments I saw on social media were all the old heads just crapping on him, going, who the hell is this guy? Why is he even, there? My favorite one, wasn't it luau night? Why did they have a Mexican guy throwing out the first pitch on luau night? It just happened to be a happy coincidence, but hey, that's Dodgers, the social, the marketing, trying to be young and hip. Babyface, do you understand the Peso Pluma phenomenon?
I mean, I get it. It's just like, any other phenomenon, right? There's a young hip singer that comes out, like generational wise, like, right? You're going to gravitate to him, right? Like, back in, I'm older obviously than you guys. So back, 10, 15 years ago, right? The artists I like, right? If they show up somewhere, hey, I'm all there, right? It's the same thing, right? So now the kids, 20, mid-20s, younger, right? This is the guy, right? And he's popular and he's putting out hits that people like. And, I didn't hear some of his stuff until I started hearing it at the stadium. Like, that's pretty catchy, right? Like, and I like it and I listen to it and I'm like, that's kind of different, right? That's different. It has, for me, it has a different sound of say Mexican music, right? That you're used to hearing, or you've heard in the past, right? So it's kind of evolved a little bit. So I'm like, hey, it's kind of cool. So, I've listened to it. And like you said, a lot of Dodger players. I mean, there's been a couple of times now when I've walked into the clubhouse, right? When the clubhouse is available and Peso Pluma's playing, right? Not just once, there's been a couple of times. And you said you've gone in there too, and it's been playing, right? So it's definitely something that right now is very popular, right? And it's popular amongst the Dodger players as well. So, I mean, all for it, that's what, what's popular right now. And people seem to really like it. So, cool, go for it.
I got to talk to David Peralta about it. It's on our YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet or to our YouTube channel, make sure you do. You can catch our interviews that we have with the Dodger players. We interviewed Julio Urias when he was down in Rancho Cucamonga, but I got to talk to David Peralta yesterday, and I had asked him, and it was so funny because he had a giant smile on his face, and it was almost like, here's a Major League Baseball player who's used to getting all this attention, and almost he was starry-eyed by like, yeah, he came in and he talked to us, and he stole the show. He stole the show the minute he came out into the dugout, and David Peralta is a guy who gets it. I mean, he is a guy whose walk-up song is La Chona. Like, he realizes that, yeah, he's a Major League Baseball player, but he's also an entertainer. It's sports entertainment. And so check out that interview with David Peralta. I thought he gave really an astute answer on that. I know the Dodgers had put out the social media with Shelby Miller, with Julio and Peso Pluma calling Shelby Miller. And Julio did catch the first pitch. I will say this, Peso Pluma's first pitch was much better than 50 Cent. But I have video, and I think Babyface posted it again. Make sure you're following us on social media. Twitter, for at least as long as it's around, because it might be the end of days for Twitter. But if not, you can go on the YouTube. I got footage of him doing warm-up tosses, and he didn't look like the most athletic person out there, right, Babyface? Like, I don't think he was going to be a number 1 draft pick on a pickup game. What do you think?
No, he's really lean. I mean, is he pretty tall? Does he seem pretty tall? He seems like a tall and lean.
I'd say average height, but he is lean. Height? He is very lean.
Yeah. So what person that has ever come out to throw a first pitch, right, has been like, hey, this guy's going to be a number 1 draft pick, right? I mean, it's kind of expected of, I think they get those for the people for the first pitch is kind of see like, where's this ball going to end up when they throw it, right? I think that's kind of like half the reason they get them.
Well, look, this is what I'm going to date myself because I was born at the time when they used to do the Hollywood Stars game, the celebrity game at Dodger Stadium. And I remember Billy Crystal telling this story because back when he was doing it, like those people took it seriously, those Hollywood Star games. And he was playing shortstop. And for people who don't know, Billy Crystal is a Yankees fan. He's a huge Mickey Mantle fan. And I think he played baseball when he was younger. And Tommy Lasorda told him, he was just like, you know what? I think if you would have stuck with it, you might have been pretty good. And Billy Crystal looked at Tommy and he said, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Because I think Billy Crystal was just like, I really wish I would have been able to play baseball. But he's done pretty good for himself. So I think you're surprising. I think guys like Kevin Costner, I think were guys that played baseball where they were younger. And when they throw out first pitches, it looks normal. It looks like, oh, this guy looks like he's played before. So I mean, Amy, did you see what are your thoughts on Peso Pluma's form on that first pitch?
So actually, the footage that I saw was yours online. So I caught you guys on Twitter yesterday because they didn't show it on the TV broadcast. Uh-huh. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My thought was like, can we get him at the trade deadline? Can he pitch? Like, I mean, he can entertain us. He can pitch.
That's how bad things have gotten. Amy wants Peso Pluma to start over Noah Syndergaard. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I saw him throw it out. I didn't see if he made it over home plate or not. So I mean, but if he can pitch, I'm just saying, trade deadline's coming up.
There we go. Everybody, keep an eye on Peso Pluma. Okay, to wrap things up, we're going to segue now into our picks. Because we're recording this before the final game between the Piratas and the Dodgers, we don't know who won last week's picks. I mean, there's only one person who has a chance of winning, and that's me. So as long as the Dodgers win on Thursday, my prediction of 4-3 will be successful. And that will put me in the lead because right now we are tied. Babyface has 2, our listeners have 2, Alicia has 2, and I have 2.
Did you credit me for the last previous week?
Yeah, that's how you got 2 because remember you were trailing, we were ahead of you. So yeah, that last one now. So I'm rooting for the Dodgers.
You didn't mention that I won that week though.
Okay, hey everybody. So this is the part of the show we have to give Roger special recognition. So we're going to have a ribbon presentation pretty soon. Babyface won the last week's picks with 4-2, right? You went 4-2 with your picks selection. This time you picked 5-2, but unfortunately the Dodgers shit the bed in Kansas City, which I know really pissed you off. So right now I'm hoping that the Dodgers pull through on Thursday night. And that'll put me on the board to take the lead. Amy, since this is your first time, you're going to be very lucky because we're only doing 2 games because it's only 2 games until the All-Star break. So it's the series against the Angelitos. You predict how many games in that series the Dodgers will win. You predict what will their record be?
I mean, I'm going to have to say we split the series. I'm going to say we win 1, we lose 1.
And I agree with Amy. I think they're going to split the series. I think Saturday is going to be a bullpen game. It's the last game before an All-Star break. The only thing that gives me really pause is the Angels are in such shambles right now that I don't even know. I mean, Babyface, if they lose to the Angels, will you absolutely just lose your mind at this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, they got Detmers on Saturday, which I think he's probably been their
best pitcher.
Traditional pitcher, right, behind Shohei. But I still think they went out 2-0.
So that means they will have swept the season series from the Angelitos. They will go 4-0 against them. The Angels have been in their last 10 games have a record of 3-7. So I understand your rationale there, Babyface. I will only leave you with this. The Royals of Kansas City hadn't won a series in, I think, 12 straight series. And then the Dodgers showed up, and all of a sudden the Kansas City Royals won a series for the first time. So I don't know. I agree with Amy. I'm not feeling too confident just because right now the Dodgers are such a mash unit. But that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank La Reina de Playa Larga, Amy Cuevas, the first time coming on the show. Hopefully not the last time. Hopefully we didn't scare you off, Amy. It wasn't that bad, was it?
No, of course not. You're so
Amy, where can our listeners follow you? Where can they read your work?
I am on Twitter and Instagram and most recently on Threads. You
did the whole Threads thing? You joined Threads?
Well, I didn't want anybody to take my name. So it's just at Amy_Cuevas_. So all the same on each of the platforms.
Well, I mean, I think the beauty of Threads is because it's IG related. I don't think nobody can take your name. So whatever you have on IG, it just goes over to Threads. And
I'd heard both ways. Followers. I'd heard that they could potentially, if you didn't snag it, but you could also change your name on there. So I was like, I'm just going to err on the side of caution.
What happens if you have multiple accounts?
They're all there.
It'll allow you to set them up. So it let me, because I have a private account and then my baseball account. So,
but I think what is already pissing people off is like if you sign up for Threads and you're like, I don't like this, let me delete this account. You can't unless you delete your Instagram account. So,
yeah, I think that's one of the complaints that I've heard about Threads. But hey, you just never know with Twitter. I mean, if nobody can see your tweets, is Twitter still even and it's sad. I like Twitter. I liked being able to get news. I thought it was very valuable. Breaking news, for those of you guys will probably already know this. I just want to put that out there. But Federico just hit a 2-run home run. So my prediction is looking pretty good. I might be taking over the leaderboard on this one. But anyways, I want to thank you guys all for joining us once again. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, yes, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our social medias, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, and now Threads. I guess we're going to have to go. Is Bleedlos yet on Threads, Babyface?
Yes, Bleedlos is on Threads and Dodgers Beat is on Threads.
Follow us on the social media. We post stuff on our social media that sometimes we don't get to cover on the show. So that's where you'll find stuff with Julio, with some other Dodger players that we just randomly corner at the stadium and ask ridiculous questions as they look at us in a completely perplexed mode. Again, yo ha sido su servidor Juan Ramírez, de parte de mis colegas Amy Cuevas and Babyface. Nos vemos para la próxima. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by betonline.ag, where the game starts.